What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got all the alternate art leaders from One Piece that we need to have a look at. From the new set OP-05, all the alternate art leaders are here, and I, for one, am very, very, very happy indeed. Now, of course, one thing to note about the alternate art leaders, we've gone kind of back to the beginning. So if we go and have a look at OP-01, we had what I've always called the manga heads, because they're kind of zoomed in on the head and they're kind of the manga style. So yeah, I think that's always been a pretty good name for them. It looked like the manga heads. And then when we went into OP-02, we had exactly the same thing. And at this point, it seemed like that's what One Piece were going to keep doing. It seemed like that was basically the plan. And then we got to OP-03, and I'm clearly going to use Nami as an example here, because why would I not? And this was vastly, vastly different. Completely different to what we'd seen previously. A very different style, which I never could quite decide how much I loved it, but it was cool and it was different, and it's nice to have some different stuff. So I was down with that. That seemed kind of fun to me. Now, with OP-04, they went and made another change, and as far as I am concerned, this is peak alternate art leaders. Like, for me, OP-04, by a bit of a margin, have the best in terms of alternate art leaders. And one of the coolest things about it is you've got the leader with the crew behind them, which is kind of what you should usually be expecting, surely. Because they're leaders, that's kind of the point. Now, obviously, the Nefertari Vivi is the best one of these, but Rebecca with Kyros, I think it's Kyros, after I'd read the manga, I was like, oh, yeah, no, this makes perfect sense to me. And I just think they're incredibly cool. Well, now we've gone back to the OP-01, OP-02 style manga heads, and I know a lot of people are huge fans of these. That's wonderful. I know some people aren't such huge fans of these. That is also, that's fine too. It's up to you and what you think. But we do have all 6 of them now, so let's have a quick look at all 6 of them, we regular art and the manga head art, and see where we can go. Now, of course, one of the most exciting new leaders from the set is Enel, and this has got during your opponent's turn, once per turn, when your last life is taken, you're going to discard a card from your hand and then put the top card of your deck down as the top card of your life. It's kind of awesome, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. It is kind of awesome. And this is one where, and it's weird, right? Because it's got 4 life, this leader. And generally speaking, monocolor leaders have 5 life. That's just been a thing like forever. But of course, the leader doesn't actually do anything until you get down to no life. Like literally, while you've got any life whatsoever, this leader is a completely vanilla leader, does nothing. But when your last life is taken on your opponent's turn, that's when you get a top card of your deck down as your life. And essentially, the way I see this card is keep yourself alive, keep yourself alive, keep yourself alive. And this just gives you more ways to do so. And I think this is a good leader that a bunch of people are going to use. So my favourite leader in the set, though, my favourite leader in the set is Belo Betty. I've been waiting. Some of these full arts we've seen before, some we haven't. I like to collect them all in one nice, easy place. And Betty here is my pick for leader in this set. I love this card. So we have got activate main once per turn. You may discard a Revolutionary Army card from your hand, and then up to 3 of your characters that are either Revolutionary Army or have trigger gain 3,000 power for the turn, which is ridiculous. Like when I was showing you the OP-01 leaders, I showed you Roanoa Zoro because it's a cool card. Well, that gives all of your characters an extra 1,000 power if you've got Don X1. Here, fine, you do have to discard a Revolutionary Army character from your hand, or card from your hand, and that is not always going to be something you're able to do. And that is very, very important to bear in mind. You are not going to be able to always discard a Revolutionary Army card from your hand. That is very, very, very important. However, when you can, buffing 3 of your characters by 3,000 each, that's a 9,000 buff. Roanoa Zoro, best case scenario, is a 5,000 buff. 5 characters, 1,000 each. I genuinely think this is going to be great. And we've been seeing some other, these Revolutionary Army characters from OP-05 who have been coming through as fairly cheap, fairly weak characters. But then it doesn't matter because you can use this to beef up your characters. Koala's 2 cost 3,000 power with counter plus 2,000. But now using this, you go up to a 6,000 power character, and that is 1,000 more than leaders generally have. It builds up very, very quickly. This is a leader that I am super duper excited about. And of course, it is worth noting that you have got a dual color red and yellow leader here. But of course, the Revolutionary Army are red, and characters with trigger tend to be yellow, or at least more of them tend to be yellow. You can see where we've come here. You can see how this works out. Now, we are also getting ourselves a Sabo in this particular deck, and I like this. And this is Don X1 on your opponent's turn, once per turn. When one of your characters with 5,000 or more power would be KO'd, you may instead choose for it to lose 1,000 power. Oh no. Clearly that's better. Like, would you rather lose the character entirely or just have it lose 1,000 power? Bearing in mind and it's only for this turn, to be clear, it's only for this turn it loses 1,000 power, but bearing in mind, like, 5,000 or more power, they're going to be your good characters, right? They're going to be the ones that are going to carry you through the game. So being able to give a small nerf to one of your characters in exchange for keeping it alive and on the field, that seems like an excellent trade-off. Now, people generally like Monkey D. Luffy. I'll be fair, right? Having read the manga now, Monkey D. Luffy is a great character. And we've got another monkey leader. Now here we've got a monocolor 5,000 power, 5 life. And you've got activate main once per turn. You may take the top card of your life, pop it in your hand, and then if the number of Don cards on your field is either 0 or 3 or more, add a Don card to your field, active. And this basically does 2 things, right? You pick up a life, and that is giving you a card advantage. That's a good thing. And you're also then getting an extra Don on the field. But you are whittling down your own life. So you get card advantage, you get Don advantage. Both of these things are good. But in order to do so, you need to whittle down your own life. That is something which not everybody is going to be willing to do. Also, I've mentioned this before, but just as a side note, the reason it's 0 or 3 or more is purely to stop this doing turn 1. Turn 1, you're either going to have 1 Don or you're going to have 2. So by making it 0 or 3 or more, it's basically saying you can't use it turn 1. If you were able to get an extra card and then play an extra Don turn 1, you know at some point somebody's going to break this. This is a card designer's just going, you know what? If we let them get away with this, they are going to break it. Let's not let them break it. Which I personally very much appreciate. Now Sakazuki comes in here as a dual color blue and black leader. And what we see here is activate main once per turn. You may discard a card from your hand and draw a card. That's kind of cool. Now, it does make you discard the card first and then draw, which is actually sneaky worse because sometimes the card you draw will be worse than anything in your hand, so you would just want to discard that one. It's kind of awkward that you have to discard first, but and you're not really getting a card advantage here, right? You're cycling cards. But even so, being able to do that every turn is a pretty big advantage. I'm a fan. But there is actually a second skill here on Sakazuki as well. On attack, or when attacking, one of your opponent's characters gets -1 to their cost for the turn. Yeah. And this is the black part of the card. Black cards love to reduce the cost of your opponent's cards. There's many skills that activate on characters of such and such a cost or below, or if there's a 0 cost character or whatever. So being able to do that at the same time, as well as being able to cycle cards, this one seems pretty cool. And then we finish off with Donquixote Rosinante. Now this is a dual color green and blue, 4 life, because dual color. And it's a blocker. Now this one confused me for a little bit at first. But what we got here is basically a blocker. Now remember, if you block an attack to yourself, it doesn't really do anything. But essentially, this allows you to take an attack that would be directed towards one of your little characters and direct it towards yourself instead. Save a 2,000 power character by essentially blocking for it by redirecting it to yourself. I think this is going to be the kind of thing that could actually genuinely be really, really good. Then we've got, at the end of your turn, if you have 6 or fewer cards in hand, set this leader to active. And look, you can easily make a deck where you're going to have 6 or fewer cards in hand, where you're playing out the cards. So this is actually brilliant, because now you've got block on your opponent's turn, even if you attacked on your turn, and you get to do that awesome thing where you attack on your turn, block on theirs, and round we go. I like the leaders in OP-05. I love the design of these alternate arts. For me, I want Belo Betty. I like the artwork. I love the card. It's incredibly cool. Enel, I think, is a very interesting card. And honestly, all of these, I do think there is a little bit of potential. But I hadn't shown you all the alternate arts, all the manga heads, call them what you will. Now I have, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these cards. Tell me which are your favorites. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.